Be done. We've got to make sure that we pay people and makes things run around. However, it can be complicated. And if you don't get it right, it can be costly. And it's a lot to do. Dun, 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 dun. We have royalty joining us today, and I'm excited to have her here. We crossed paths at Scaling New Heights earlier this year, and I knew she knew her stuff. She has an amazing company that helps people with payroll, helps fix broken payroll, and can even do outsourced payroll for people that want to provide the service but don't necessarily want to do the work. How smart is that? She is known around the books as the Payroll Queen. I'd like to welcome to Growth Amplifiers, Shannon Ballman Theis. Thank you, Shannon, for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Kenny, for having me. Yeah,
And so cool. So cool. You helped me pronounce your name correctly because I was reading it completely wrong. We'll just start in this interesting tidbit. If you can tell us just a little bit more about your last name.
Yeah, so it's a German last name. And whenever there's two vowels in a German last name that are together, you always pronounce the second one. So in this case, my name is EI, so you pronounce it Theis. But if there's another person in the accounting space too, that her name is Theis, because it's THIES. And it's helped me not mispronounce other people's last names. So I always like to share it with everybody because once you hear it really just kind of makes sense.
So say it once, say it Theis. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. In the Payroll Queen, how did you get this wonderful royalty bestowed upon you?
I have always liked payroll, and accountants find it weird that anybody would actually like payroll. And I really know my stuff. I share information freely with people whenever they ask. I'm pretty active in a lot of different Facebook groups. I'm getting more active in other social media, but it's really pretty much Facebook right now. And when I first started to promote just doing payroll and helping with payroll, I got nicknamed the Payroll Queen. It took me at least a couple of years before I fully accepted being called it. Now I've embraced it. If I was at home and in my office behind me, you would see a picture of me as a queen.
Wearing your crown.
Yeah, my husband had a picture made. So
I think that's really cool.
Fully embracing it now.
We're Growth Amplifiers. If you're following us, you know that we typically advise you to have some sort of niche. And sometimes that could be a niche of an industry. You work with a certain type of person. And sometimes it could be the niche of a mastery. It's something that you really dive in and know really well. And there are other companies, obviously, that do payroll, but you are a specialist of really helping people fix broken payroll. What even is broken payroll? I'm not even familiar with that. Luckily, thankfully.
Any payroll that's non-compliant or any payroll where there's something wrong. And sometimes people come to us because they had a small local person doing their payroll, and things got missed, things weren't set up correctly, and they don't even know what payroll software their person was using, and they don't have any access to it, but they've got these checks and they can't, something happened, either the person left or they passed away, and they don't have access to their payroll records. In order to get them moved into ADP or Gusto or Patriot or Paychex or anything, they need to know what their gross and what each of their taxes were and their net. Right now, they only have their net because they know what checks they wrote people, or they know what people got deposited. Occasionally, we've even had to go to the employees and find out what was deposited into their bank account. And that's never fun because sometimes the employees don't want to cooperate. But sometimes they're just using a payroll software where something didn't get set up correctly. And so when things don't get set up correctly, taxes don't get taken out correctly. So sometimes we're just reconstructing it that way. And then we give people, I don't make journal entries or fix things in the books, but we do give people the correct information. And if somebody asks me for the journal entry, I'll usually help them create a journal entry. And sometimes accountants come to us and they're like, the payroll from the payroll summary doesn't match what's on the P&L or the balance sheet. And I'll help them walk through reconciling that so that they can make sure that it's entered. And occasionally I'll have a tax preparer say, I'm trying to file this tax return, but the W-3 doesn't match what's on the P&L. Mm-hmm. And we'll walk through reconciling that. And a lot of times with tax preparers, it's their pre-tax deductions. The wages are still wages, but they're not taxable, so they don't show up on the W-3. So sometimes it's just a matter of saying, oh, you have to add box 1 and box 12 together.
Got it. So you're really helping people. They don't even know necessarily what their problem is. They don't know which steps to take, and you're helping them get that clarity and make sure that they're set up to be accurate moving forward. So a lot of accountants are out there. Some of them offer payroll now, and some of them could say, hey, that would be cool if we could do that. And there are some that are offering it. They're like, we're doing it, but it's actually causing a lot more effort, it's straining our resources. And I know you've offered outsourcing help with payroll in the past. How does that typically work?
I have 3 companies. Mm-hmm. One is called Payroll Restoration, which is what we've already talked about. And the other is River Valley Accounting, which is where we do the outsourced payroll, whether it's for other accountants or we still have a few payroll clients that we do direct to consumer. And we use a portal, and the client tells us who we bill and who we communicate with. So if it's the accountants, they'll tell us that, but they don't tell us what payroll software we use, and they don't tell us what portal, how we were going to communicate. So I like to be semi-flexible with accountants, because fully understanding at the end of the day that the person the client that we're going to provide payroll for is their client. And we don't do anything other than payroll and fix payroll and train on payroll, which is the third company we'll get to in a little bit. But we know that they're not our client. They're the accountant's client. That's why we let them tell us who we're going to invoice and who we're going to communicate with. Because let's face it, there's been people out there that will outsource work to, that then go behind our backs and say, oh, I can do this for less, or I can do this for whatever. And we're never going to do that. We don't want your client. We want to help your client, but we don't want to steal them.
Why bite the hand that feeds you? It's such a silly thing. And the reputation, I know you've got a great reputation in several different communities, just like myself. And the last thing I ever want to do is do something that didn't have integrity and disrupt my reputation. It's the best thing that we've got going for us. If you can help people out, I know the other thing, that's one concern is, oh, they might take my client. But we say that's not going to happen. We guarantee we're not going to take your client. Number 2, the other thing is a price concern. We can get concerned with price. It might be costly to hire someone that does a better job. However, there's a cost to hiring someone who does not as good a job as well. And there's the cost of having to do something that's not your skill set. Do you have any stories, experiences that you've come across in regards to price?
My firm is never going to be the cheapest out there for any of the different things. And if we are, that's a cue to me to raise my price. But we had somebody who we had talked to. They were just getting started. They needed somebody to run their payroll. We told them what it was going to cost to run their payroll. And they didn't hire us. And then they did it wrong. And it cost them 4 times as much. I think it was really close to 4 times as much at the end of the day when they came back to have us fix their payroll, because we had to reconstruct all the checks. Then we had to refile a bunch of returns. But my favorite story involving pricing was way back when I first got started, when I was first getting started, and the person had left because they found somebody that was going to do what I was doing cheaper than I was charging. But then they didn't know how to use the software that the client was in. So then I had to train them on how to do the software. The client was paying me for consulting this whole time. They paid me, and then they're like, this isn't right. So they paid me to fix it. Then they paid me to train her again. And this went on for about 8 or 9 months.
Oh my God.
And they finally ended up coming back and having me do their work. And then probably 2 years after they thought they were going to go someplace cheaper, I completely changed my pricing structure. And my husband created me this really super awesome spreadsheet that I use to have people pick their services and the different things that they wanted me to do. And just by clicking a box, it put a number in, and that was on a different page of the spreadsheet. So we get done with him putting everything in that he needs and wants me to do. And then we get to that page, and he was going from paying about $175 a month to $415 a month. And that's a pretty big price increase. But I really liked this client. He was super easy to work with, always listened to what I said. So we get to the end about the pricing, and I'm like, I know this is a big jump. Do you want to, we can just go up a little bit or whatever. And he looks at me, because this was all in person, this wasn't on Zoom. And he looks at me and he's, you know what, you're worth it. Let's go to $415. And which just, I like telling this story because so many accountants out there are just so afraid of raising their price. But if you've got some of those legacy clients that are paying a super small fraction of what they would if they come on board now, it doesn't hurt to walk them through your pricing as if they're a new client now, and show them what people coming on board pay. And you have to be prepared for them to leave, and sometimes it's a good thing if they leave. But sometimes they'll surprise you like this guy did. They might just say, you know what, I don't care what it costs. I want you to keep performing the service for me, whatever that service is.
What I like about what you're saying is when you do that, number one, you're going to find who are your advocates, who are there for you. And if you do that over time, you build a client base that is full of advocates, people that have your back, that are willing to pay for it, that can respect your expertise. And there is the cost if you're keeping people that are simply there because you're the cheapest solution and the cheapest thing that they could find. That is not the greatest thing you want to fill your client base with. That will drain you. And why give them all that benefit if they're not really valuing the value you provide?
If you value them, show them what the price is, and then ask them, how much they want to increase their price. Some are going to say, can we stay where we're at? Because some people just think of accounting as an expense, and their answer will tell you if they value you or value the price. And if they only value the price, I would start looking to replace them and then let them go. And sometimes they'll really understand the value, and they're like, I want to pay you that amount, but I don't think I can. They might open the door to more of a consulting engagement where you can really dive in and show them where their money is going and where, that whether sometimes they really can't afford that increase, but you can provide them. It just opens the door to a conversation where you can provide them more information and provide them more value. And the amount of value that you provide is totally up to you.
I did have to let go of one of my longest legacy clients a few years back. I had him for like over a decade. We both became married. We both got married, not to each other, but we both got married, had kids, and we grew together. And yet we grew in different directions professionally. And I still liked working with him, and he still appreciated the value I provided. However, it became apparent we were just no longer a good fit. So we had to have that conversation to say, I think it would be better for you to find a new service provider just so that they can give you the time and attention and focus that you need for where you're at now and where I'm at now. It wasn't my favorite conversation, but it was the conversation that was better for both parties is the main point. So occasionally that does happen, and it would have not been helpful for me to hold and cling on to that relationship, and it wouldn't have been beneficial to him. So sometimes we do come to that point. Speaking of which, I do want to make sure that we cover your third business. By the way, so you have 3 businesses. We talked about 2. Tell us a little bit about the third.
So Dodd Consulting is where I have my payroll courses. I have my consulting and just I'll have some different payroll tools that we use. There's some payroll journal entry templates that I need to get them finished up and record the video. They'll be available soon before the end of the year. I keep pushing off some of these things because we've got all this other stuff to do, but I need to do the work on my business that I'm always telling my clients to do. And I need to do that myself. And so with the Payroll Mastermind, it's a weekly, I call it a live Facebook Q&A, but I can't go live on Facebook anymore. So I'm live on the same, it's a static Zoom meeting. I'm live on there every week on Zoom. And then usually within 24 hours of going live, it's posted in the Facebook group and on our course platform.
Awesome. And because some people have thought, I want to do something like that. What would you recommend to somebody, maybe an advisor or accountant that says, I want to create my own community or group, live, something like that? What would be your recommendation to how to get that started?
Just pick a platform and do it. Because I probably could have started my community a full year before I did. When I started, I had probably 6 or 7 people that joined right away. And I could have, I don't know. I just always feel like I could have started that way before I did. But you'll know when the time is right. And because I've been thinking about it, I'm a huge overthinker, and I'll research everything. I'll decide what I want to do, but that doesn't stop me from researching. I'll keep researching even after I've decided what software I want to use. Stop me if any of this is familiar to other accountants. But I just, because I had so many people that I had talked to in the course of, I think it was a 6-week period, that it was like, oh, I wish there was a group or something that did this. And finally, one of the people that I had talked to, she's like, why don't you just start a group? And I'm like, I've been thinking about it. I just don't feel like I'm ready. She's more about this than anybody that we've ever talked to. And so what I did is, I didn't know what I was doing. I picked a software. I I created a Facebook group because I knew how to do that. And I just sent out things. I let everybody in the Facebook group that wanted to be in the Facebook group, I let them in for free. And then I set a date that everybody either had to be a paying member or they would be removed from the Facebook group. And if they were super active and didn't join, I met with them to find out what was their holdup. Some people, they were just so new in business that they couldn't afford whatever. It was a really low price back then, but they couldn't even afford to commit to that every month. And that was fine. And then I decided to do like a affiliate where they get 10% of what the fees that they can either get as cash or discount their membership. And discount is, they could use it towards their membership. You don't want to use the word discount ever.
Wonderful.
But
there's a lot of great insights that people could take, amplified actions people could take from this. So if you're tuning in, I'd suggest thinking of one idea that maybe you put into play. Don't overthink it. We take new actions to achieve new results. And for the people that are interested in saying, I'm hearing about this Payroll Queen, she's got some cool things. Maybe I'm interested in one of the things that she shared on this discussion. Where should they go and what should they do?
if they're on Facebook, that's going to be the easiest way for them to find me. Is Shannon Ballman Theis on Facebook. I'm the only one there. And on my profile, I have a link where people can schedule a free call with me, and it's a 15-minute call, and I try to keep it to no more than 20 minutes. I give myself break or space, cushion in between every meeting that I do. I only do calls on Thursday, which was one thing that took a lot of convincing to limit when I do the calls. Some people, whenever I tell people I only do the calls on Thursday, I usually get back, how could you do that? Or, oh my gosh, that would be so nice. And there have been occasionally times where people couldn't meet with me on Thursday, and I have the discretion to open up another time.
You were the captain of your ship. So
Yes.
maybe take the reins. Yes.
Yeah. But otherwise, like, I've got a YouTube channel, and there's ways to contact me on YouTube. And I've got a newsletter, but probably the best place to get a hold of me outside of Facebook or YouTube would just be to go to payrollrestoration.com. And there's a lot of information about me there. We're currently working on creating the backlinks to take you to River Valley Accounting and Dodd Consulting. But right now, payrollrestoration.com is the website that I have built the most.
Wonderful. I appreciate what you do. I know a lot of other people do as well. Payroll is something that must be done. It is a service, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. So the fact that you like it and are doing a great job with it is awesome. Again, if you're tuning in, make sure that you take amplified actions. If you have questions, thoughts, or feedback, we'd like to see that in the comments as well. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your insights and wisdom. Highly appreciate you and what you do.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.